Good day. My name is Charles Kidega Ochaya, and I'm an e-business lecturer, and I'll be lecturing on e-business. Start off by looking at some of the benefits of e-business, in particular with regard to e-supply chain management, that is the ESCM. Some of the benefits of e-supply chain management include increased efficiency of some of the individual processes within the supply chain. For example, the time taken to complete making orders and receiving what has been ordered will be substantially reduced because of the faster processes which are enhanced by using e-business systems. The second benefit is that of disintermediation, whereby the number of intermediaries within the supply chain will reduce considerably. When you have moving from the producer to the final consumer, there can be so many intermediaries, so many institutions, so many people that will try to facilitate the transfer of the commodity from the producer to the final user, and each one would be putting a markup on top of that service that they're providing. So the substantial benefit comes from the reduced cost of channel distribution. The next benefit is that of improved data integration between elements of the supply chain. Companies deal with each other, they transfer information, they share information in the whole process of transacting and supplying the commodity. So there's also reduced cost of paper processing. The paperwork reduces considerably because everything now becomes electronic. It will be done in an electronic format. Now there are so many, we can disaggregate the whole supply chain by looking at the procurement part, or we can look at the marketing part, or we can look at the customer relationship management part. So the supply chain, at each stage, you can introduce infrastructure to help you facilitate the whole value chain processes. Hence, you have e-procurement, e-marketing, and e-customer relationship management. We shall look at each one in turn. Now, starting with e-procurement. Sometimes they will say e-sourcing. Procurement is actually trying to get raw materials that you need for your production process. You have to procure those materials or those raw materials. If it's a company that is involved in construction, they will have to procure raw materials, cement, timber, and other materials that they need to do the building. So here, e-procurement is the electronic integration and management of all procurement activities including purchase request, authorization, ordering, delivery, and payment between the purchaser and the supplier. As you can see, all the processes that would have involved so much paperwork is now being done electronically. Okay. Because of that, e-procurement will improve the following aspects. You'll be able to procure the product or the raw material at the right price. It will be delivered at the right time, the right quality, quantity, and from the right source. Okay, I'm sure some of you are familiar with the idea of just in time, where to have an efficient procurement process, the commodity has to arrive not too early and not too late. Otherwise, the delays will be pushed forward into the next supplier along the distribution chain, and as a result, the consumer or the customer will get the product late because of a delay somewhere. So e-procurement aims to get rid of all those delays so that the product arrives eventually to the final user on time. Now, electronic payment systems are a very central part of e-payment system. Essentially, they will involve scanning the documents, storing them, retrieving invoices and other documents, facilitating approvals from management, routing of authorization requests. So all this can be done electronically. As you can see nowadays, there's more use of these methods in an electronic format, unlike in the past. Obviously, this will require interfacing. This word interfacing means that you are able to link up different systems through some kind of extranet, whereby different organizations can share data. For example, the banks can use facilities or systems that will be able to interact with other companies and so on. Now, the other aspect of e-business is e-marketing, electronic marketing. Essentially, this involves applying electronic means to fulfill the 4 P's of marketing, which you know quite well. Thus, you are able to offer the right commodity to the right people at the right time. Essentially, e-marketing also involves creating awareness in the first place, so that customers know who you are, what products you are providing, and they can then make their orders. E-marketing also has a strong component of marketing research. Obviously, for you to know the right people to whom you deliver your product, you need to do some market research. Also, e-marketing requires integrated marketing communications. Now, this means that whatever method you're using, whatever media you're using, the message that you are sending out to the customer or the potential buyer has to be the same. They have to be congruent. They don't have to be contradictory. You're using radio, you're using billboards, newspapers. The market and the message should be uniform and consistent. Now, there's also this aspect of e-business which deals with customer relationship management. After you have acquired your customer, you've created awareness, you've converted them, they are now able to buy the product, they buy the product, and you have information about them. You then have to manage your customers so that they don't go to competitors or get disappointed and leave. So eCRM essentially will be dealing with the data that you've acquired, the customers that you've acquired, and try to retain them so that you can in future sell them more products or different products over their lifetime. So this is a very important component nowadays when you're dealing with customers. Now this diagram tries to summarize all those things I was talking about in the past few slides. You can see here you have supply chain management. Here you have enterprise resource planning software. Okay, within the organization, what do you use to manage your invoices, to manage your customers? And then you have also customer relationship management. This is sometimes very closely related to the marketing function, where you want to know who your customers are, where they are located, and all this information you can get from your databases, which you've compiled over time. Okay? Right. Now, those E's specifically help in customer development, where you generate leads. Okay, you are able to identify those who could be your customers. It's a function which is closely related to targeting as well. It also helps you to do data mining, okay, to improve targeting. In other words, you have all that data. When you analyze them, you are able to see patterns and be able to identify segments that you could target. Okay. Right. Other things that you are able to do include upselling and cross-selling. These are marketing terms which would suggest that you can sell new varieties of products that you have introduced to the old customers. Okay, or you can tell them sometimes to buy more. Or in other words, for example, you say you've bought a cell phone, now why don't you come and buy a pouch, a holder, a cell phone holder? In that case, you are upselling. You are giving them complementary products that they could use in conjunction with what they've already bought. Also, using electronic means helps you to manage quality. Okay, you manage quality, you get feedback from your buyers, then you know who your buyers are, what they like, and so on, and you can make adjustments accordingly. Okay. Now we come to a very important aspect of e-business. So far we've been dealing with more theoretical things, but now in practice you need to consider how you are going to implement all these things that we are saying. How do you bring a system? How do you encourage managers to take up new software, to take up new systems, which might actually imply a radical change from the ways of doing business that they're used to? Okay. As a result, now we say that introduction of e-business requires users to learn internal information systems and use new methods of marketing or new methods of working. So you can see the importance of thinking about change and how to deal with them. It can sometimes come as a shock if you don't manage it properly, and then the whole system can fail. A well-designed plan can fail because you were not able to manage change properly. To give you an example here, where we're saying that the introduction of an e-business system to support online sales will require that staff who are dealing with sales are also readied. They are made ready. They are oriented on the new systems so that they also come on board and appreciate how it will help them. Of course, sometimes things don't go very smoothly. Now there's a model that deals with change. You might have met it before. It's called Lewin and Shane's model of change management. They came up with this approach which they've seen to work. You need to, in order to overcome resistance, confusion, misunderstanding, miscommunication, rumors, grapevine, and all that, change has to be done as a gradual process. Okay, first you need to unfreeze very strongly held notions, change old ways of doing things. In other words, we are removing the status quo, the state of affairs, change that first through education, training, and proper communication with those who are affected, including the stakeholders. So you need to unfreeze the present position by creating a climate of change. Okay, make everyone ready to accept change, to be receptive to change first, so that when you now introduce change, things will be smooth. The second step is to actually change. Okay, you change by introducing the new systems because now people are ready and they're more receptive, and you've trained them. You can now change and put in place, install a new system. Thereafter, you need to refreeze. Refreezing means to actually inculcate a culture where now the change is permanent. Okay, it's not just something that you're trying and then you go back to your old so-called tested ways. So this refreezing, they have seen that if you do not refreeze those habits, then change will not take hold. So you need to refreeze and make sure that it becomes a habit, it becomes the culture of the organization to do things in the new way so that it works. So this is another representation of that model. You unfreeze, you change, then you refreeze. As you can see, unfreezing ensures that employees are ready. Change means execute the intended change. And then a refreeze ensures that change becomes permanent. Now, the other aspect of implementation is that of analysis and design. Here you'll be dealing with systems, processes, the blueprint, so to speak, of what you are going to put in place. So all that needs to be closely examined on paper. Make sure that there is no glitch anywhere and you are able to deal with all those challenges from a technical point of view. So here we say managers need an appreciation of some of these design techniques, including process analysis, data modeling, use case design. Okay, you need to draw diagrams, show them diagrams, plans of how these things are supposed to work, the linkages, and how you'll be handling data, what the user will experience from the user's point of view, what they'll experience, and so on, before you actually try them out, before you do a pilot study or a dry run. And again, you'll notice that this will help the managers to explain the new changes that will be coming in. So we take an example of data modeling. Here you can see they have drawn this out to try and show a flow chart. You start from there, you place an order online, it goes to cart. Cart is like a tray where you are putting all your things that you are buying online. Then you make payment. This one, in this case, payment is cash on delivery, COD. There's an arrow going this way. If cash has been paid, if payment has been made, it now goes to the area of shipping and customer verification. Who is the customer? And then where is it heading? Who's going to ship? Which freight service is going to ship that product? And so on. And then after paying, now delivery is the next thing. So this one is a straightforward the flow from payment to delivery. But at this point, if the stock is there, yes, the stock is available, then you proceed. If the stock is not available, you arrange for product to make arrangements in view of the fact that stock is not available. If it's available, shipping will commence, or planning to ship will commence. Right. So this is a flow chart. You can easily see before you go into programming, you need to have a flow chart like this. And then if yes, where do you go? If no, what happens? Okay, what if? You can answer all the questions of what if and the processes involved. Now, we also need to consider security design for business. Remember, when you are online in a web kind of forum or platform, issues around security become very, very important. Okay, so security is a prime concern. Mainly, the concern is around the security of information that is contained within the company or within the databases. You have customers' data will be there. You have internal company information about finance, logistics, marketing, and employees. So you can imagine that some people sometimes who are malicious would try to gain access to this sensitive information. If this is a bank, you can imagine if they're not aware or if they're not careful enough, they will be revealing information about their customers. They will be compromising information about their finances, processes, and so on, which is very serious. It can be very costly to the reputation of that bank and can lead to its collapse. Now, another concern for those designing these programs or this infrastructure is that of malware. Mal means bad, ware like software, so bad software. As to date, there are more than 100,000 computer viruses that have been created by malicious people. There are different kinds of viruses. There's the boot sector virus, worms, macros, email attachment, Trojan, and then hoax email virus. So there are different kinds of viruses, but all of them essentially are malicious. They've been designed or written in order to damage software, to compromise data, so that the computers don't work. The people who design it do it for fun, and they're kind of wicked. So in order to protect against viruses, you need to have antivirus. The more popular ones are Symantec, McAfee, Norton. These are traditionally the big companies that constantly develop antiviruses. They have to update almost every other day to stay ahead of those programs, the malicious programs. Also, it's good to install real-time scanning software. In other words, you'll be connected online and you are able to constantly update the software that you have, and the software will block any program that wants to gain access to your computer, and this program, according to the way it's written, will be sensed out as being malicious, and immediately it will be blocked. Okay, so real-time scanning kind of creates a firewall whereby this data that is incoming, or the software that is incoming, does not even gain access to some of the files within your system. So it's blocked. It's blocked in advance. It's a firewall. Now, these are some of the key issues or key aspects that you need to consider when you're dealing with implementation of an e-business strategy. You need to think about process modeling. You need to think about data modeling. You need to think about architectural designs. You need to think about user interface design. And you need to think about security design. Right? You probably need to read more about this at your own time. Process modeling, data modeling, architectural designs, user interface design. And I'm sure about security you are more aware of the issues around that. Now, there are several alternatives to acquiring e-business systems. You could have one developed for your company from scratch. You engage consultants, you engage programmers who will look at all your processes and master it, write out the processes and draw charts. Thereafter, they will write programs that will replace the manual system that you're using. Or you could buy software off the shelf, software that is already pre-designed in order for you to just plug and play. The other kind of software that you might want to use is hosted software. Okay, hosted software from a server somewhere. So when you have access to that server, like Yahoo, Google, and so on, those are hosted on someone's server in another country, but you have access to some of the files and functions, but then the overall control will be with the host, to whom you pay a certain amount, perhaps every year, okay, to renew the license. Or you could also have tailored development. You can have custom-made software programs that will master some of your key processes, and it will be designed to suit your organization exactly. Now there's an assignment that I've given here, and it deals with content management. I'm sure you've seen many websites. You've had the chance to compare different websites, but if you look closely, you find that the quality, the websites will vary from one company to another. So in this assignment, you have to develop a comprehensive checklist for you to be able to assess the effectiveness of an organization's website. Okay, things like, do they update regularly? Is it comprehensible? Can you understand it? Content and so on. Thank you so much. God bless.